Right. Hello, Leo. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully your day is getting off to a great start. It's good to see you. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and today we're going to be taking a look at the next 6 to 8 weeks, helping you navigate all the opportunities, any of the challenges that come your way, and really make the most of it. The way that I organize it is right here. We're going to start off with channeled messages at the very beginning. The way that I get into channeled messages are primarily actually today through dream interpretation. And this gives me a chance to really see things that are going on for you and everyone that's going to be kind of tuning in either live or later. So let me just open up this presentation. There was some interesting energy today about teamwork and the way that the environment in which you live or work can really affect your just overall happiness. So we're gonna touch on that for sure. Okay, by the way, you can use this for sun, rising, moon, and Venus. We'll actually go into sun, rising, and moon a little bit later, so please do stick around. And Apollo, before anybody asks, he's happily sleeping in the background, so we'll leave him there until he gets up and wants to take a walk. All right, so as I said, team energy is at the center of a lot of the dream energy that came through for today. And the other thing that I was picking up on was an opportunity to allow something to take off, to lift off. And I feel like you've gone pretty much as far as you need to go. And there's just this sort of final step before ignition. And we'll talk about that. And then cleaning up messes. This will be a fun one. All right, so first things first. So I had this fascinating dream where I was looking at kind of like, not necessarily, it wasn't even the wreckage. It was like I was an archaeologist looking at a Vimana, which if you ever look at any of the old Sanskrit epic poems, they talk about these star chariots, and they don't look like a UFO and they don't look like a rocket ship. They have these sort of intricate designs, and it reminded me of something like that. Hieroglyphs that I didn't recognize. So anyway, something old, something ancient. What I picked up on, I couldn't read what was there, but just by sort of connecting to the energy of this, and now I'll be able to bring it into the present here for all of us. Here's what happened with this. It was this beautiful ship that didn't end up going anywhere because the leader of the ship didn't foster good teamwork. So there were obviously, whenever there's a big project, whether it's the construction of a building or it's the creation of an application for your telephone or something, or in this case, constructing a starship, there's a team there's engineers, there's developers, there's technology that goes into it. And there wasn't a lot of organization and support, and there was no giving back to the team, so it all fell apart. In fact, I even saw something else, which is they ousted that person. So anyway, this kind of brought it into focus for the here and the now, which is to really focus on recognizing, embracing, and celebrating the team that makes things possible around you. Okay, some of you like me might be a team of mostly one. I have a helper on the weekends, but if you're an entrepreneur, then, this is just acknowledging your own hard work. But for most people, there are teams of many people around them that are creating things. So lean into that, say thank you, really share the love and make sure that you're working together. The Chariot card is speaking about leadership, and that's really what the Vimana is. It's a star chariot. So this is the card that wanted to come through. Someone needs to be leading the ship, but we also have to really celebrate everybody that's making that possible. Now, this is what caused the problem. There was infighting. The Five of Wands can represent that. And what we see here are people competing for attention. It's kind of like a garden where there's a lot of flowers and they're suffocating one another, or they're all competing for the sun. You have to go in there and create some room, open up the garden a little bit. And I felt like there's some of that energy right now that's maybe for some of you creating that sense of I can't breathe, or there's a glass ceiling, or no one's recognizing me. If you find yourself in a work situation where there's not that equity or equality, two things: you can fight for it, and you might also want to look for something better, and they're not mutually exclusive. You can do both. If you're in a relationship where it's basically one person's say and that's it, like their way or the highway, then again, that's not a sustainable thing. So this is really a big message around environments, team energy, and morale, and also feeling like you're being recognized in those team dynamics, okay? All right, so there are no mistakes. I like to put this out there as much as I can. And the Hierophant card here from the, I forgot to identify, this is from the Wild Unknown deck, which is a beautiful deck. basically is a great reminder of this. And it's basically saying you hold the key to make the difference and the change in your life. Learn from your missteps. And if you had a mistake, it's really an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to go into a different direction. I like this because it's holding the key, and I felt like the ship was done and it just needed to, like something, we had to turn the ignition basically. So if you can forgive yourself, if you can forgive others, if you can look past any sort of false starts, missteps, or mistakes, you're going to be ready to, see things fly and see things go in the right direction. I do feel like the groundwork has been laid for success and for movement, but the first thing is to sort of like look at the environment. The second thing is to look within and say, what can I learn from what did and didn't work, and what do I want to do differently, okay? Now, cleaning up the messes was a really interesting piece. I was juggling a bunch of bags. It felt like I just got to the grocery store. I was carrying out the trash. I was trying to get things cleaned up. And then someone else had dropped their stuff or made a mess, and they were just walking away expecting me to clean it up. And I didn't do it. There's a line from Practical Magic where the two aunties are saying, clean up your own mess, because the primary witches in the show they do a spell that they shouldn't do. And so sometimes when you constantly clean someone else's mess up, it's okay to pitch in if you feel like it and you have the extra time and energy. But if you're constantly doing it, it creates a codependency, or it rationalizes that it's okay for that person to never clean up. So there may be an instance where you lay down the rule of law, which is why I put justice, and say, no, this is actually your responsibility. I do it when I want to do it, and I do it when I can, but it's actually yours, and you should clean it up this time. It's okay to say that. It's not you being lazy. It's not you being insensitive. It may actually be necessary to allow for the other person to grow and to know that they can do it. And this is especially true for those of you that mentor, or you're a boss, or you're a parent. And it's sort of like, I will support you as you do it, as you try it. I'll give you that sort of cheering squad in the background and advice, but I want you to try to do this on your own. And so there may be someone in your life that needs to hear that. And if you hear it, know that you can do it, basically, okay? And because we don't want to enable that sort of energy ad nauseum. So in summary, as we looked at the first few bullets, this is a chance to really look at team dynamics, to look at past learnings. And once you understand what was working and what wasn't, turn the key, move forward, and then don't get distracted by other people making a mess and expecting you to clean it up along the way. There's a time, there's a place, and again, it doesn't make you insensitive or not sort of like loving. It's the inverse of that sometimes. You have to hold someone to account, and those are the main messages there. If you like what you see here, just a reminder to hit like and subscribe so you never miss a future video. You can also follow me on social media. All right, let's get into the reading, folks. There's a lot to cover today. Good to see everybody. Again, you can use this for your sun, rising, and moon signs. We'll go into everything a little bit later. Let's get the cards laid out and see what's coming through for the sign of Leo. And I think this is why all of those messages around teamwork and avoiding distractions came through, because we have the Eight of Wands, which is a card that represents a very busy schedule. I love this deck. There's a little bit of a glare on it, so don't worry if you can't see anything. I'll be pulling each card up a little later. Lots of changes coming through. That's why we have those messages. All right, let's take a look at the expanded piece and then we'll begin. All right. Very cool that we got both the sun and then this permission to shine. So we'll talk about that in a second. It all begins with the catalyst, which this month is about listening to your heart, honoring what needs to come through, possibly opening yourself up to relationships. This came through in career. So we actually see partnerships, friendships playing a really big role right now. And again, it kind of begins with that personal healing. So we could imagine that this is akin to the Ace of Cups. And it's basically saying, tune in and think, how do you feel about yourself? Do you like what you're doing, what you're kind of evolving to become, who you've called into your life? Take a look at you, your surroundings, and the people around you. And if there's anything that you see in the exterior that needs to change, obviously it always begins within. This is also just a good time to honor physically the heart, so activity, making changes in diet and exercise that make sense for your body, obviously working with a doctor to make those changes, but paying attention to emotional health and then also physical well-being. And there could be some incoming relationships for those of you looking to improve your sort of love connections or possibly create some new ones. Let's take a quick scan of everything here in the Celtic Cross as we look at this. Again, this is going to be the next 6 to 8 weeks and see what the messages are. Basically, there's going to be change, and it's change for the better. We have two of the biggest change cards that could come through: Death followed by the Tower. And then we have cards of abundance coming through and rapid speed. So the Queen of Pentacles and Knight of Swords. So the change happens, and then there's positive shifts and movements that also happens pretty quickly thereafter. Let's go into it card by card. I like what I see so far. I think one of the biggest challenges for you is keeping your head on straight, or your head above water. We have the Eight of Wands, which is basically showing the ability right now for you to go to higher ground, to go to new, to expand into new sort of endeavors. This is a really cool Eight of Wands. Typically, you would see a bunch of rockets flying in the air, right? With the card in reverse, it could show a little bit of turbulence as you're starting something or as you're getting something started. And I talked in my dream interpretation about a false start. So the fact that the ship was built but didn't take off could simply mean that there was a rejection in your life. Maybe, for instance, if you're younger, you could apply to a college or a job of your choice and your first choice didn't happen. But that doesn't mean that you can't eventually get it or there isn't a better choice out there. In relationships, the same thing can happen. You kind of throw your hat in for consideration and say, hey, are you interested in someone? Isn't at that time. But you never know what happens years later. So this is about just sort of keeping your options open and knowing that you should kind of go where the wind takes you sometimes. And that's what we can see with this here. Generally speaking, Eight of Wands is one of the best cards for business, personal development, and action or activity in your life. It's basically once you can get the momentum started, it lifts off and carries itself, okay? So a little bit of a false start, a little bit of turbulence. Once you make a little bit of a correction, however, things are headed in the right direction. On top of this card crossing it, we have Four of Pentacles, which can be holding on to something that doesn't serve you. Could be people in your life that aren't giving you enough support. It could also be the internal feeling like I'm not worth it. So here's your Four of Pentacles. And we see this sort of rich abundance, but there's a gate with all these padlocks or locks on top of it. And it's basically saying, I can't go there. I'm not deserving of that. When in fact, you do embody everything that you need to get the abundance that you want in your life. The traditional Four of Pentacles does a slightly better job of showing why it happens. So let's look at that. This one shows the potential. Basically, with the Four of Pentacles, you're holding on to someone, something, or a thought that feels safe. And it's predictable, and you know it's possibly not enough, but you know you can count on this. So I always like to remind people that the devil you know is still a devil. This is one of the devil you know sort of situations. And it's saying, if I let this go, maybe nothing will come in. Something's better than nothing. It depends what that something is. And you don't know that this is as good as it gets in some situations. And this isn't a one size fits all, but especially if we're looking at a relationship, if it's summarized as the Four of Pentacles, you can do better. That's someone who can't give you what you need, not just what you want, but what you need. And so to me, that's never enough. And this isn't about being needy or wanting too much. It's about making sure that the bare essentials are met. And if that's not happening in a place of work, in a relationship, or elsewhere in your life, then this is your chance to reclaim your value and your worth, to blast off those locks and say, I'm open to receive much more than this. I deserve more than this. And that's it. That's all the Four of Pentacles represents. Because it's crossing that Eight of Wands, it's saying, don't let fear of letting go of something take you away from an opportunity that could open you up to expansion. This card is expansion. This is limiting. Limiting thought, old thought, holding you back. This alone could be what's anchoring that sort of elevation and not allowing it to happen. So once you release that, good things start to happen. All right, let's see what's been going on. First of all, it's good, but you've been doing some work in the right here, right now, and also in the past couple months to basically be the wind in your own sails here. So we have the High Priestess. She's starting to realize her power. She's coming out from behind the curtain and she's thinking, oh, I have the magic. I have the ability to manifest and to move things. Let's make this happen. It's a reminder that your thoughts, even your limiting, especially your limiting thoughts, manifest. So if you can't get to the point where you think I'm worth it, think to yourself, I'm worth more than this. And then say, universe, show me how much more. I know it's got to be more than this. So build your way up a half step. You don't have to sort of say how much you are, but you know if you're worth more, and say, show me something better. I'm ready for something of the, when you're manifesting, say, I'm ready for love and abundance in the highest forms. I'm ready for all of this or greater in the soonest divine timing possible. Something like that. Really put the positive spin on it, and then you might be surprised. Many of you might be opening up to your intuitive gifts, working a little bit more with meditation, with yoga, with psychic or intuitive development. This could also be coming through in creative channels like art, music, even in other sort of fields. I like to remind folks that intuition is something everybody taps into. A doctor has an intuitive sort of epiphany when they're reading a chart and they're like, we need to check this out. Someone that's building something might pull in someone to inspect something and say, I want to make sure this doesn't look right. Whenever you have an aha or a light bulb moment, that's your intuition. It's a spark. So follow those sparks and see where they lead you. Recent past. For many of you, this might be happening right here, right now. We have the Ace of Wands. Look at where that idea is going. This is why I want you to follow the spark. So this Ace of Wands, we see a beautiful rose or peony or some sort of lovely flower. It's like a peony because it doesn't have any prickles. But anyway, this beautiful flower starting to arise, and it's basically saying, I need to take this idea and do something with it. Because unless you actually invest and nurture, and it's kind of like my lily out in the back, I had to put it in a pot and put some other flowers around it. But once I planted it, notice how the lilies are lasting longer. So if I just put it in a pot, left it indoors, it would be too hot. It wasn't the proper temperature, so I moved it outside, gave it a little bit more breathing room, and now it's growing nicer, and they lasted a week longer. I have 3 more, so I'll get a month out of this rather than a week. So it's about investment and nurturing and caring for things and looking at long term. And then that plant will grow again next year, because the bulb, you don't have to throw them away, folks, by the way. If you have them, plant them outside. They're good enough that they winter in most places. I used to live on the East Coast and they come back. Anyway, for yourself, look at not just right now and right here, but look at next year and the seasons to come. That's why Ace of Pentacles is usually sometimes a seed, because it's much like that, or a bulb, because you're looking at long term and you're looking at growing, and it's kind of like an onion skin. Each year it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So with this, we see a spark. You've got to feed the spark. You have to invest in it. You have to take it to the next level. So I like your idea. The universe is saying, so now what? Some of you might have someone offering you a contract, especially as I'm looking at this book, asking for your insight. Do you want to be a part of this? What do you think? And it's up to you. You have to look at it and decide, is it good enough? That's the main thing here. Is it good enough? Okay. Now let's take a look at your crowning card. One of the more beautiful death cards in the different decks that I have. So what we see here is, through change comes growth. And it's much like how winter basically brings about spring. So we have not it's a different lily here, and it's not quite a tiger lily, but it's a different lily. But basically this is showing that you sometimes need a little bit of a rest period, or you need to let go of something, and then you're basically opening yourself up to see what else is out there. So some of you have reached a full stop. or maybe more of a semicolon. There's a pause, and it's connecting you to something new and saying, how about this over here? Or how about that? Or there's something even bigger than this. This is going to grow into something more. And a relationship could be ending, a job could be ending, you could be moving, but many of these things you might actually be calling into existence yourself, and you understand that this is not the end. This, in the near future, is also an extension of the Four of Pentacles, holding on to something longer than it serves you. We don't want to get to the Tower. We don't want to hold on so long that the universe just says, I'm going to have to take this away so that you can see what else. This is blocking you from looking at the horizon. So be an active participant in the destruction or the reconstruction energy that is part of the Tower. So think of the Tower. I always like to use this metaphor as if you're surfing a wave, or if you're an architect, imagine that you're coming into a house and saying, I want to see through from here to the living room. I have a fireplace in the living room. It'd be nice to see that. But it depends if this is a load-bearing wall. But wouldn't it be cool if there was this big arch and you could see straight to the fireplace? So that could be a Tower moment where you're like, let's break through, let's open this space up a little bit. So that's a Tower, but a really good Tower because it opens things, right? A Tower can also be, a Tower can be graduation. I've learned all I can from this institution. I want to free myself now and apply the knowledge in my own life. It can be the wake after something has passed too. So death is the change, the movement, and the Tower is the wake. And it's assessing value in what remains. All right, well, I did this and I have this. And what's next in the sort of like the story or the puzzle of your life? And so you're going to take the pieces and decide which ones stay and which ones go, which is a lot of times why this is a move. But based on what I see here, these are changes that were long coming, for the better, and for many of you, overdue. Okay? Now let's take a look at how you're showing up in this time period. So we have the Five of Cups in reverse. And the Five of Cups in reverse is a moment to recalibrate, basically. So in this illustration, we see three of the petals on the ground, and unlike the traditional one, she's actually holding on to the two that are growing. Usually in the Five of Cups, three are spilled and there's two behind the person, but they're looking at the spilled cups, focusing on what didn't, couldn't, wouldn't happen, not what is and might happen. And that's a partnership energy. That's also a part of this card as well. And we got love coming through in work. So there could be a new work partnership. You could meet someone that you really like from a work gathering or professional event, and who knows where that can go. That's kind of cool. So I like that this card chose to focus on where you can see growth and movement, and it's just honoring what has been and allowing it to move on. Okay? So for you, if you can focus on potential rather than the pitfalls, you're going to start to see movement and growth, and invest in the people that have always had your back. Because again, the traditional card, two cups behind the person, representing love, support, and opportunity that's been surrounding you all along. Okay. Environmentally, we have the Hermit in reverse. People want to get more of your time, more of your attention, and they're asking for you to come out of your shell a little bit. Lots of love around you, by the way. This is in career. This was the catalyst. And again, it's hidden here, but now we see people that want more of your time and energy. Some of you may be coming out of a hibernation. You may also be in a little bit of a rebound energy here, because death, movement, change, reorganization, letting the dust settle. And it's sort of like, am I ready? Am I ready for love? Am I ready for a new job? Am I ready for this attention? I hope you are, because it feels like people are looking up to you. It's kind of interesting. Look at all the ships. So she's been calling someone or something into her life, and the ships are here now. Also a little bit of Three of Wands energy in that too. So and you can see the three birds up top there too. So I feel like you've manifested something, and it's really just a matter of seeing that part of that requires you to be at the forefront, you to be a little bit more visible, and good things will come of this. Back when I first started the channel, this is for the folks that have maybe stuck around since 2015, I used to talk about the idea that we're all, through the work that we do, like a lighthouse, that you were shining light out for others to see. And it's a really cool energy that the Hermit is represented as a lighthouse. because it normally is a little lantern, but the lighthouse is more powerful than the lantern because it's a beacon of hope. When people need it, when they're lost, right? They're coming to you to be found. This is why there is that careful energy around boundaries. I think that you can mentor, you can help, but you don't want people to feel like they can't do it alone. So a good teacher or mentor basically gives people they train them and then they give them the keys and say, you can do this, okay? So that's really the goal for those of you that are kind of becoming that trainer, because the hermit is a teacher as much as the Hierophant is, as much as the Emperor, the Empress is. These are power cards. The hermit just doesn't need to be, they don't need the popularity. They like to be behind the scenes sometimes. Behind the camera, behind closed doors, the wizard behind the curtain, basically. But in this moment in time, people want to recognize you. So the recognition piece is going to be good for advancement, and it's going to be good for bringing more abundance in your life. And it may be just a good change in general to accept a little bit of just say thank you. Sometimes people just want to hear, like they want to show you love, and all they want to hear is that you received it. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Heartfelt gratitude and receiving the love. If you receive the love, then you can actually open yourself up for even more abundance in your life. And it's hard to receive a compliment, good news, love, payment. Some people have a hard time with that. If you do, this is something you can work on because there's more that wants to come through. The hermit holds the star. The star leads to expansion. And it allows you to shine your light even further. Okay, opportunities knocking. Hope, fear, and opportunities is showing that with the Queen of Pentacles. One of the best cards for growth. One of the nicest sort of arcs that we could ask for coming from the Four of Pentacles, which again is very much in the head. And now we see the true opportunity here with the Queen of Pentacles, which is growth, abundance, nurturing, power, and empowerment as well. And so this is disenfranchised sort of energy, and this is the antithesis of that. This is empowered, this is self-sufficient, this is really good. It's also a card that you would associate with birthing, letting something go, knowing that you've worked long enough on something to release it. This is very much connected to Empress energy in the same way. And we can even see in the corner the little rabbits, and that's what the rabbits indicate. So they're right there. It's a little hard because the illustration is so lush. And we have a family of hares there. It looks like there's a couple rabbits, maybe a little baby rabbit in the corner. So I do see abundance, fertility, and opportunity coming through. And that can be taken both symbolically and literally if some of you are trying to extend your family or adopt or something of that nature. That can also represent that. It can also represent our little fur babies like Apollo in the background, who looks adorable. All right, if he gets up, I'll bring him up, but I'm just letting him relax because he was having a little sleepy nap before we began. All right, what's it all leading up to? Rapid change. Again, movement with respect to finances, opportunity, personal development, fertility and abundance, and then it just starts to move pretty quickly. And the key thing here is it could take you to a place that you didn't expect. An opportunity, or even physically, like a location rather. So allow yourself to go. Your words and your actions will carry. So you have this potential to really allow for outreach in this period of time. Really exciting, I have to say. I mean, the challenge for you, I think, is to embrace this, to follow your heart, to embrace change, to be a participant, co-creator to the change, to come out from the curtain a little bit and let people see you. And then it's good stuff, folks. Good stuff. All right, we're going to expand it a little bit further and take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, beginning with the health card that really is going to encompass mind, body, and spirit. As the disclaimer says, I'm not a substitute for a doctor or therapist or any expert in your life. What I am is an intuitive that's going to help you look at energy and opportunities. Free will is always yours. Decisions are always yours. So solar plexus energy is coming through with respect to health this month. It's let's look at the card upright before I talk about why it's reversed. It says, enjoy success and happiness. And I mentioned, as we were talking just a little bit, about the Hermit card, also reversed, which was saying it's time to come out of this shell, to allow yourself to be in the spotlight, to be the lighthouse, to be the sun, which is a star, which the Hermit holds, and you earned this, basically. And as you allow yourself to feel empowered, powerful, and worthy, you'll call in people that see the same in you and have done the same work on themselves. So you call in peers, and then you're going to call in opportunities that recognize your worth and don't try to undercut your value. And if something's not enough, just say, this isn't enough, or this is what I need. You can also kind of like use more affirmative and positive speech. Just say, I'm excited about the opportunity. This is what it will take to get me involved. Show your power, show your vision. Birthing energy with the sun. Typically the sun in tarot would be a little baby riding in on a horse. So this is also about going boldly forward into something that you want. And this is, for many of you, because we're talking about health, right here, the solar plexus, you could be feeling an awakening, a block. Some of you might be having some issues with digestion, or you feel the butterflies there. So you want to work on exercising that part of your body. You can do that through yoga, Pilates, and other strength training. You can also just focus on meditating in that space. And then when you start to speak, pulling up it's kind of like a singer that learns to sing from the diaphragm, not just the throat. Part of the power of that is they're pulling energy from deeper in their sort of core system. It's kind of interesting with singers. They can use the head voice, they can sing in the throat, they can go a little bit deeper in the diaphragm, but each creates a different effect, not only because of the sonic sort of difference, but also because of the energetic difference and the frequency effect on that. So really focus on bringing it from here. Like if I go a little bit deeper in the diaphragm, my voice will go deeper, and I can be, and if you say a no, it'll be like no versus no, which is more up here. So don't be afraid. If I kind of go deeper into this, you can hear there's more resonance, more power, and you're less likely to say no to that. So find your power and work with the diaphragm, especially if it's going to be an important conversation about boundaries, for instance. And your posture is going to be important too, so you can get more activation in the core when you speak. It really does make a difference in how you have the ability to kind of push your energy out there. All right, what else is going on with respect to health? Change for the better. Death is usually stagnation. It can be literally a close brush or a wake-up call where, you talk to someone and they're like, you need to change this or else. But it could also be someone in your life that had a challenge and you're deciding, that's not me. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to have the same issue with eating, drinking, smoking, substance abuse, whatever it is, workaholic. There's so many different things that these two cards can represent. So you're going to take the mantle and say, thank you for showing me elsewhere in my life that that's not serving me. Thank you for the wake-up call. Thank you for showing me how much more opportunity is out there. And yes, I choose to make a change. This is also about opening up. We talked about solar plexus. This is about the heart chakra, which we have here. So because that pentacle is right, it's actually covering up the solar plexus and the heart. So learning to express yourself, especially how you feel, and also with power, with authority. Those two things are going to be important to make healthy choices and also to feel better energetically. Let's see what else. It might be, well, hello. I was talking about environmental issues. So some of you, you're in a place where you're not being seen. Now we can look at this differently. Even though I'm not looking at career, this is just as important. The people you spend the most time with, whether it's your friends, family, or your coworkers, there's something about this where you feel like you're like this satellite. You might be the only voice of reason. You might be just out there in a stormy sort of climate, and that's not sustainable for you. That needs to probably be rethought. And again, we have a lot of like watery and sort of, crumbly sort of energy here. So it feels like it's time to move in a different direction in that case. And I see something better on the horizon. Here's the cool thing. Yeah, we're entering into a Mercury retrograde next week. It's going to go April 21st through about the 14th or 15th of May, middle of May. But retrograde can bring necessary change, necessary revision, necessary movement. So she's kind of surfing the energy of change, isn't she? Here's the change, and she's kind of just saying, I'm going on to better places. There's better things waiting for me. So follow that wave of change. It's going to be a good thing for you. This is also rising above any sort of challenges or loss in your life and saying, I'm willing to speak up or try something new. And this is also recovery, quick recovery. Rabbits reproduce pretty quickly, and they represent the ability to see movement happen quickly. So any losses, any setbacks can be countered by the Queen of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. Okay? Great energy across the board. Time to be seen, time to prioritize self. Now let's focus a little bit on career. We touched on it with the environment there, but now let's look at resources, life purpose, and of course money. We have a really auspicious card coming through. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean a work romance. It could, but I'm going to interpret it a little bit differently. What it's really saying is, do you love what you do? Because this is all about just really feeling a connection to that. And this is saying you will be rewarded in opportunity, yes, in money, but also in just people that are connecting to you because you love what you're doing. So it brings abundance, it brings better partnerships, it brings better friendships. If you don't love where you're at, what you're doing, or who you're working with, it's time to chart a different path. And that doesn't have to happen immediately, by the way. Just because I deliver that message doesn't mean that you have to say goodbye today. When I decided to leave, I waited 2 years. I had to wait for the proper financial opening, for inner confidence, for a straw that kind of was what broke this camel's back when I was at work. I'm like, no more, enough now. Why am I doing this? So I needed some triggers in order for me to feel ready. So you wait until you're ready, but I almost waited until the tower, which was almost too late. So you don't have to wait that long. But I would say you have to feel it and you have to believe it. And then if you want to, then cool. Love and respect yourself. This can also be staying where you're at, but just really loving yourself enough to stand up, enough to speak up, enough to say, no, I really think you should listen. This is a really good idea. That's one of the things that I would have done differently, because I remember there were a couple of meetings here or there where they just discounted my feedback. And I would have said, you're too stuck. We're doing something predictable. This is something I really would like us to keep on the board. And then separately, I would have said, if you don't want my input, don't invite me to the meetings. Because one time I said that, I said, I should just be quiet because you're not listening. I got in trouble with my boss for saying that. But it was good that was the beginning of me speaking up, because it was like, why am I here? If you're just going to say it's stupid, you shouldn't do that in a brainstorming meeting. You should put everything on the board. Everything could lead to something. Then you start to pull some of the richer ideas over here, but you still keep those for inspiration, and you never make someone feel silly for contributing. So if that's happening, you are, in fact, kind of like the hermit in a sea of crazy, and you don't need that. It's not a sea of crazy, it's a sea of indifference, and that's a lot worse, actually. So this is a time to love and be loved, to respect and be respected, and to do something that you love. And that brings fertility, abundance, and things start to happen pretty quickly when you're in that energy, okay? Some of you may have reached as far as you can reach in a certain sort of area that you're at. So the death and the tower represent glass ceiling, breaking through the glass ceiling for a select few, but the rest of you breaking away from something and finding more abundance in your life, okay? Now let's go to love. And love represents the whole spectrum of relationships. We'll dig in deeper to more, love relationships in a moment, but initially it's going to be romantic, platonic, friends, and family as we look at this oracle card. Well, this is one of my favorite cards when it comes up. We have the she-wolf, which is divine feminine, but it's divine feminine and masculine. And it's basically saying, I'm willing and ready to follow my instincts, to be nurturing and supportive, but also to have an assertive nature and to go after whatever it is that I want. The wolf can also fend for itself. So I think this is a beautiful divine feminine card, but also encompassing the sort of divine masculine as well. Because some of the best strength cards will be similar, where you see someone that's half wolf, half lion or lioness. We can kind of combine the two. This is definitely more divine feminine forward. And it's saying, listen to your instincts. Literally, this card is pulling from elements of the moon. And it's saying you can overcome the competition, the sort of, not so supportive energy that we would see with the moon. Sometimes the moon, at its best, it's instinct and inspiration, and it's basically saying, go after what you want, you can get it. But it can also represent people that aren't telling the full truth. It can represent fighting with someone and missing the bigger purpose, which is to go down the path in front of you. Okay, so she is going to say, I've either already conquered that battle, because we can see a symbol of that wolf is no longer there. She's embodied it, and she can just move forward. She doesn't have to prove herself. So you don't owe anybody an explanation for doing what's right, for being empowered, for standing up for yourself. It's that simple. All right, let's look at it in 3 different perspectives here. We're going to focus on those those in a relationship looking for love, or single and happy. The relationship, it's a little bit more focused on romantic, but it can be anyone you love the most. So we're just going to look at that core, we'll call it that core intimate relationship, and see what the challenges are. There are 2 narratives here, 2 clear ones in this one. Some of you are actually on the precipice or in the throes of sort of decoupling a little bit here, because we have the Death card here that is in the crowning position, and then the Tower here. So this is movement, and basically we see people moving in 2 different directions, and that's okay. That happens as time goes by. So for some of you are in the throes of that, and we see things moving in the right direction. So confirmation, if you're trying to do that, that I feel like you are listening to your heart, and good for you. You may feel a little bit alone initially, but remember what we saw here. There's always those 2 cups. There's people, there's opportunities, there's things that are beckoning to you all along the way. Okay, for those of you that are together and things are okay, there could be a big change in your life. I told you about fertility and the baby, so there could be a new baby coming in. It's the death of the single self, and now the entrance here of the parental self, and there's a lot of changes in the environment. Same thing if you bring a pet into your life. Potty training the pet is the same thing. It could be waking up in the middle of the night. You know how it goes. So babies, no matter whether they're a fur baby or a regular baby, they represent disruption. You could be moving into a new place. You could be starting a new job. Big changes, big life changes, or you could also have just lost a parent. Something big comes through and it changes you, but you exit this experience being richer. This is a rich card. Richer in experience, richer in just your own sort of like power. So we like that. The challenge here is communication. Talking about some of these changes, feeling like you're not isolated, feeling like you do have each other's backs. I feel like you have a good sense of what your partner wants, but sometimes you're not sure if they feel or have the same sort of like intuitive vibe for what you want. The she-wolf tells me that if this is you and this is them, you are a little bit more tuned in. They're a little bit more instinctive. They still can pick up on it, but you need to articulate more potentially with them. Because unless it's sort of in front of them, they may not see everything. So just a little bit more communication can help. That's why the Knight of Swords is here, to keep things in the right direction. This is rebuilding, this is nurturing, and this is moving forward. We don't have to have the full stop or the release. That's an option. So some of you are moving in a different direction. Some of you are changing quite a bit. The common theme in all relationships, even the other forms that I'm going to look at, is something new, something different, something evolving. It's not the same old, same old. All right, as we look at those of you that are looking for love, karmic in nature, could be coming out of the blue, could be coming from a work or a sort of extracurricular connection, not so much swiping on an app. Could come because somebody says, hey, I want you to meet someone, and, love at first sight, or, butterflies. Let's see what else is going on here. I feel like the main thing for you is getting your schedule organized a little bit. There's a lot of chaotic energy at the center of this. Like, this is fast movement, this is change, this is the dust settling, and this is you holding on to something that you don't even need anymore. So if this can clear up a little bit, then you can focus on the type of person you're pulling in. In the environment, I see someone really wise, and they are connected to the Queen of Pentacles energy. So we have karmic connection, old soul, probably someone that could intimidate you or could be intimidated by you. One or both of you are having a hard time just sort of like asking the other person out. So if you feel a vibe, like ask them for coffee or do something. You have to be the one that's a little bit more, let's take a risk here, but you can still be safe with it and just kind of say, do you have a couple minutes? I'd love to chat with you. See where it goes. So we get that shy nature, but wisdom and past life energy. And this could be something that shakes your world a little bit up. But your life is also settling a bit. So again, you could just be in the throes of change. So take your time with this. If you're single and happy, I think it's optimal at this point in time, because you can make the most out of whatever change has happened here and whatever dust is settling as well. Really interesting that the sun comes through in this, because as new universes are formed, new solar systems are formed, The sun or suns, sometimes there's more than one star at the center of a system, they help clean up the dust. They're the gravity that pulls things towards them. And then in the outer rings, gravity of all these particles start to create, the planets and satellites and things of that nature. So you're the conductor. You have a chance to really call in the right types of stuff, clear out the messes, and you don't have to clean up everyone else's messes. Remember that was one of the messages. Okay, now we're going to move on to destiny. This one shifts from month to month because we keep showing up, we keep looking at stuff, and we keep changing. That's what makes it interesting to do what I do, because if we couldn't change, I would just be telling you the same story every month. And it's not, at least not on my channel. There's always some shifts and movements. We have It's Safe for You to Shine. So really nicely connected here with the sun. So for some of you, when we're looking at how to be healthier, it's how to be bolder and how to speak for what makes you feel more powerful and more supported. In love relationships, not love relationships, but in work, it's about, do you love what you're doing? Do people respect you? If not, show your true power here. The Hermit coming out, shining as well. So we have 3 cards right here that are all about shining. And this one has reflection in it too. So even this, we have the moon and the sun multiple times in this deck. So this is really about paying attention and following the light, following that sense of, just being able to be yourself. And this could be ignition. I mentioned that ship needs like someone to turn the key. So when you hit ignition, it's a rocket ship going out into the uncharted territory. So exciting things here. Okay, we're gonna now take a look at sun, rising, and moon messages. And then after that, I'll do a final card. Normally I do it first, but I feel like sun, rising, and moon at this moment in time. So let's shuffle the cards, dig a little deeper, and then we'll look at the big idea. All right. Sun, rising, and moon. And they're all pretty good. Okay, let's begin with the sun sign messages. 8 of Pentacles. This is a really beautiful one. It is in reverse, but let's look at it in the upright position. So this is really going into the creative vibe of the 8 of Pentacles. Typically, you would see someone working almost in a production line with a bunch of coins in front of them. They're really focusing on the details. So is she. She's making sure that these wings are beautifully created, and beautiful moth or butterfly right there. Looks more like a butterfly because the antenna are a little different on a moth, but and all the other ones look like butterflies. But what I like about this is you're creating your future freedom here, and you're writing. It's almost like you're writing your own contract, your own wish list, your own job description. And there is something really powerful with writing something down or putting a picture up. Long before I got Mr. Apollo in the background, I had a few pictures on my vision board of what I wanted in a puppy. I liked Lhasa Apsos, I liked Yorkies, I liked Benji types that were a mutt and kind of had a combination of the two. And he knows we're talking about him. And then basically, I ultimately got a cute little mutt that I love. And it was exactly what I wanted, even better than I thought. Because I remember my mom was still alive when I went to go to get on adoption day. And she's like, oh my God, look, that's him. And I was like, yeah, that is him, actually. We were looking at a few and I thought, but he's so cute and he's smaller than I thought. It's everything that I was wishing for. But I put it on a board. I was like, little this, little this, little this. Surprised me with something better. And that's what I got, is something better. So you can surprise yourself with something better too. Create the illustration, create the outline, but be open to the universe sending you something like Apollo, all that and greater, right? And have some fun in the dreaming. And so dream big and allow the universe to dream bigger, because it's fun to be surprised and you have the capacity to allow for that surprise to come in. By the way, being a big sort of symbol of change, we have the butterflies also on death. This is saying the change allows you to explore new things. Moving away from this, letting go of this, allows for this to come into your life. It may not be in the time, in the sort of form that you expected, but it may be exactly what you need when you get it, okay? So that's what we see here. You're creating your own sort of new next step or destiny. This is also a card of apprenticeship and learning. So if you want to learn a new skill, go back to school, train yourself, do anything that's going to allow for expansion of skills, knowledge, and confidence, since we got the Sun card, this is the optimal time to do that as well. Moving on to rising and ascendant. Well, hello, love. We've got the 10 of Cups here. It is reversed, but it's a beautiful one. And what I love with this, there could, by the way, be like a Pisces coming into your life as I look at this, or a Cancer, any sort of water sign coming through, but Pisces especially since I saw the fish. But 10 of Cups represents new friendships, new opportunities, new movement in your life. Look at the beautiful rainbow on this card too. Let's take the lower caption off for a second. With the card in reverse, there could be some unexpected ways that this comes in. First of all, 10 of Cups reverse can represent peer pressure. It can represent you trying to even meet your own expectations, which might be unrealistic. So it's saying, let's let go of the picture perfect thing that some of the sun signs, some of Leo's sun might be going through, and allow for things to flow. And that's what I love, is the fluidity in this beautiful illustration here. The person that you're looking for or calling in could be coming from an unexpected direction, may not be your sort of traditional archetype of what you thought you'd be ending up with. This includes a new friend, of course, love relationship, and it could also be like a partner in any level, like in a job as well. So be open to unlikely partnerships, basically, and push back on peer pressure and also on this pressure to be perfect, okay? What I like with the mermaid and merman is basically their ability to just sort of say, take me as I am. They're free flowing and they're not really judgmental. So I like that. If you're in a family or work environment where if they're like, this is who you're going to be, this is what you're going to do for a living, you need to marry this person, have this many kids, take a deep breath, take a step back and think, why are you projecting so much on me? Why? You can do all of that for yourself. I'm going to do my thing and you do your thing and we'll see where we end up. And that's, be free flowing, be yourself. Some good stuff is waiting. We see the school of fish. Some of you that decide to go to school, this could actually be really good. There could be some great people that you're meeting in a school activity or extracurricular. So another message around sort of those sorts of gatherings. Just a really lovely energy here. It also shows the depth of the next person that you're calling in relationship-wise. Every time I look at this card, you can kind of see like the seaweed and all the other stuff. It's beautifully illustrated. So this person has great emotional depths. No surprise because we had the Hermit card. The Hermit's a really great partner. They may not be the life of the party, but they're wise. They don't need to have like a lot of attention, and they know how to support you. Like there's a lot of wisdom and support with a hermit sort of energy, but you have to think how outgoing you are, and you don't want to change the hermit that much. The hermit is the hermit. So if you're calling that in, this could be part of the reason that this card is reversed. Make sure that you love someone as they are, not as who you think you can make them be. Relationships are not home improvement shows. You get what you get, and there can be a degree of improvement and growth, but we shouldn't be looking at someone as a fixer-upper. That's not a good way to go about it. Okay, moving on to Moon. Fantastic. This is the outcome of the Eight of Pentacles. This is mastery. We have what look like little parrots here, if we look really closely. They're carrying the hammer and the nuts and the bricks and all that stuff. The interesting thing as I look at that is that you don't have to repeat anybody else's steps. You're making your own thing. Because when I think of a parrot, they parrot back, they repeat. There's a neighbor that has one that walks up the street, and sometimes it's a little annoying, but she has it say the same thing all the time. So I'm like, okay, there's that parrot or parakeet. So use your own voice, use your own words, and apply something that inspires you, but put your own thumb stamp on it. Originality is going to be important here as well. Of the expanded sun, rising, and moon, this is the one that's in the upright position. This is a little different than the training or the learning that comes with the Eight of Pentacles. This is usually the beginnings of, or maybe even the revision of something. This is basically after that. This is saying we're going to put a cherry on top. Like in education, this would be like a college degree, or if you're getting training, this is the final certification. Or if you're an apprenticeship, this is the very last stage of it before you get the certificate. But it's telling me you're there, you've got it. It's now just sort of like going through the motions, going through the energy of the Hierophant, of the sort of like, do this, that, check that off, and then you're going to get it, and it's going to be worth it. This is also the architectural card in Pentacles, and it's basically saying, love what you're building. Again, doing things that are constructed with love, with integrity, and they just are rich. That's what's going to pull in the attention. So it's not so much about what's popular, it's what's good. Really sink your teeth into something, and some great things can come of that. Love the Three of Pentacles. Hey, Apollo, before you go, you want to say hi to everybody? Now that you're stretching, he says, I'm going to go hang out in the other room. So before we get into the big idea, here's Mr. Apollo with a little bit of bedhead and a folded over ear. But he's a great example of pulling in something amazing into your life, right, buddy? Yeah, I'm going to let you go. I know you want to go in the other room. So let's take a look now at the big idea. The big idea offers you a chance to bring this all into focus and see what's it all about. He needed a drink of water. All right, the big idea for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And we have the King of Swords in reverse. Let's take a closer look. Oh, good, he decided to stick around. All right, so King of Swords, we'll look at this card in the upright position. We can see someone that needs to get a bird's eye perspective. Not exactly sure which kind of bird that is because it's been exaggerated. It almost looks like a blue jay. But basically someone who is deciding, like, in order for me to take the next step, I need to understand how, why, where, what this is all about. I need to there's another deck that I use, the Light Seers, and the King of Swords is like the king of the mountain. He's at the very top, and he's looking at everything. So I think the important thing in this perspective, or this situation, is to get perspective, and also to, once you've got it, to take some rapid action. So the King of Swords is outspoken, expedient. The only thing that we want to be mindful of with this card reversed is the manner in which actions and words are put out into the universe. Make sure that timing is correct. Make sure that sensitivity is there. And if you can do that, you're going to see basically everything that we saw here. Movement, change for the better, new abundance coming in. Lots of energy around bringing more, because the 3 and the 8 of Pentacles represent so much more than the 4 of Pentacles. Even though 3 is 1 down, it's much better. You want the 3 of Pentacles. Okay, so this is overall a really good month so far for all of you. I have to say that. We're going to have one last card at the end, which gives you a chance to ask me silently a question, and I'll pull a card on that. First thing that we're going to do is to meditate. And in today's meditation, I'd like to help you get your wings. We're going to work with the butterfly. I feel like that's a really easy energy to look at. So close your eyes for a moment and imagine that you are in a spring meadow in whatever part of the world you'd like to be in. See the beautiful natural flora and fauna of that region all around you. I'm going to intersperse a couple of things that we can probably all connect with. Something sweet like jasmine or honeysuckle or whatever it is that you think of. I know here in LA, the jasmine is just getting ready to bloom. Probably 2 to 3 weeks from now, we'll start to smell that. So see these beautiful, fragrant wildflowers and trees and spring bulbs all around you. And no surprise here, as you find a place to sit down, there are tons of pollinators, hummingbirds, bees, and also butterflies. So as you allow yourself to sit back on a mossy sort of area of the ground, butterflies start to land on your body. One lands on your nose, actually. And as you close your eyes for a moment, just feel the energy of change as it enters into your third eye and also into your crown chakra. The butterfly whispers to you, what do you need? Where do you need to be healed? What do you want to see movement in? So try to focus on one area of your body or one area of your life, and then see that butterfly and others come in to start to move the energy around. As many butterflies as you would like, you can imagine that they're here, and allow for that healing energy to come into your life. And if you'd like to just imagine that you are breaking free of a chrysalis and you feel your own sort of ability to fly, you can do that as well. Keep breathing while I do this beautiful sound bath, and then we'll come back after that and take a look at your final question. Take a few deep breaths, seeing the beautiful life around you in the form of the birds, the bees, the flowers, and the rising sun. And even as we hear that siren in the background, there's a wake-up call, a call to action. And the question now is, what are you going to do? Because we had both the Page of Swords and the King of Swords coming through. What's your next step? Know that this butterfly energy is with you to help you expand, to help you heal, to help you move. All right, take a couple of deep breaths, and on the next natural exhale, I'd love for you to open your eyes. Welcome back, everyone. Let's focus now on the final card for today, which is going to be based on your final question. So whatever it is that you need guidance on, meditate on that. Let's pull the cards now and see what's coming through. Well, it's full circle, isn't it? It's the very first card that I had in my channeled messages, and I had a big old dream about that Vimana. This came through in reverse, the Chariot. So this is saying it's okay in this moment to slow down for just a second. This is the big old snail from the Nine of Pentacles, which I covered in the daily card reading for April 13th, so you can always go back and look at that. But there is a snail at the bottom of the Nine of Pentacles, which basically is a reminder to take your time, as I said earlier in this one card reading, to do things right the first time, because you save yourself time of going back to fixing things by just slow and steady wins the race. And that's what this is saying here. It's also saying, in this moment in time, if there are any sort of slowdowns, see what is going on around you. The snail's taking a moment to look around and say, every move that I take, it takes some time, so I want to make sure that there's no wasted steps. So really assessing the environment, which then can help you with some of the things that we talked about earlier, which is recognition and really just, is it healthy? Have I learned everything that I need to? All of that nature. Now, taking the snail out of this, the Chariot in reverse is about taking the reins and feeling empowered. So right now you have a choice to basically be the one that is saying what you want, when you want something, where you want something, and it's basically a leadership call to action. Okay? Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe and share this with someone else. Because I do longer ones, because I do live readings, they don't always make it in the algorithm, so I really do rely on your engagement in the posts when they go live and also sharing it to continue to help this channel grow. You can also follow me across social media. My username is always my name unless it's otherwise noted on my website. So at Nicholas Ashbaugh, no changes in spelling, no underscores, and no funny stuff like people reaching out and offering you a reading, which I don't do. So always be mindful of that. Report any imposters if you see it. And if you ever need clarification, you can go to my website and the official socials are all listed there. Same thing here on YouTube. You just go to the About page and they're all listed there. Finally, if you'd like to give back a little bit in the form of super chat, super stickers, or become a member, you can do that right now. I'm going to give a little bit of gratitude to everybody that joined today or gave back today. But before I do that, thanks to everybody for showing up. Hope you enjoyed this. And a reminder, even though I haven't posted tomorrow's, I'm always live every Monday, Thursday, and Friday for the monthlies, and every Sunday for a weekly, and then I do dailies. Plus, occasionally I intersperse some solar or lunar ones or some seasonal things. I'll probably do something for retrograde. Okay, give me just a moment here to welcome the newest members first, if there were any today. I think there was a couple that upgraded as well. So let's see. Baranda, thank you so much. Brand new member. Sapo, thank you as well. Rejoining after 5 months. Dog Mom, thank you for rejoining as well. And let's see here. We have Denise, Handcuffs Hannah, interesting name. And thank you to Classy531 for upgrading. And I think that's everybody from the last 12 hours or so. Let's also say thanks to those who gave back with a little bit of a sticker today. Enzo, thank you, Guy. I appreciate that. Let's see. Dark Shadows, Galaxy, Greatest Treats Tarot, thank you so much. AJ, is it Kinga Sokol? Thank you so much. And I think that's everybody. All right, folks, thank you for joining. Looks like we got a couple of ones here at the end. I think I hit all of those. So yeah, thank you so much. All right, I hope you all are having a fantastic Thursday. Good luck in the month ahead. If you want to look at the April readings as well as the May, they're all on my main channel for this sign. So until I see you again, be well. Remember, it's safe to shine, so shine brightly, everybody. Okay, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.